Animals shouldn't live their lives in captivity. It's not only inhumane, but also wrong. They should live a life of freedom and be free to explore anywhere they want. You're about to see some animals that finally got what they deserved. True freedom. These pigs were finally released from a factory farm and got to walk on grass for the very first time. They were given up to a sanctuary after the farmer of the factory decided to become a vegan and completely dismiss the practice of animal farming. These pigs are running around like they just discovered the sun for the very first time. Oh wait, that's exactly what's happening. A baby penguin had some injuries, and the woman who released it also helped rehabilitate him. The penguin is clearly nervous, but says its last goodbyes and scurries off into the sea. You go, little dude! In Portugal, around 1 million pigeons are released back into the wild. Just look as they roam the sky in complete freedom. You can just feel their energy and happiness as they're finally able to spread their wings. This monkey was hurt and had to get rehabilitated. After 3 weeks of care, it finally reunites with its family. To see the mother monkey hug its child is adorable. If this doesn't absolutely melt your heart, I don't know what will. Thousands of birds are released at both ends of this truck and finally get to fly away to freedom in the bright blue sky. Who knew one truck could hold so many birds? A baby deer is stuck in a hole and needs to get help fast.
Keep on the deer, right? Let me cut it back here. Good? Yeah.
The digging starts, and the people not only get the deer out, but wait and monitor it until it's able to get up and start walking again. 3 Siberian cubs were saved from poachers and finally released back into the Siberian wilderness. They are hesitant at first, even knocking down the camera at one point, but they're able to run into freedom at last. A lady named Hope took in 14 deer when they were just spring fawns and raised them for a few months.
These deer were all just tiny spring fawns when they arrived. It's amazing to see them now.
She released all 14 of them after hunting season and took multiple trips to the wild in order to offload the entire crew. One Father's Day morning, this family heard a noise in the pool.
We have a little baby deer swimming in the pool. She's much
Little did they know, a baby deer was in the mood for a quick swim. But it couldn't get out, and that's when the man stepped in. Happy Father's Day! These men spent almost the entire day releasing animals back into the wild. They were originally brought in for treatment because they were either hurt or sick. From deer to little monkeys, all the way to hedgehogs, all of these animals are finally able to live their lives in true freedom. Just like the pigs before, these two were kept in a dirt enclosure for years. You can just see the brightness and lively energy the pigs have in their eyes, now that they're able to roam freely. This massive vulture was finally released into the wild after spending most of its life in the zoo. It spreads its wings far and wide, giving the people a show to see. A rescued elephant seal was released back into the sea after being treated. It pauses and looks at its saviors momentarily, saying thank you before diving into the ocean. A tiger that was discovered on the outskirts of a Russian city was set free in a national park. The tiger bolts out of its cage and is able to run back into the forest where it can live a free life. These lions were born in captivity and spent their entire lives performing in a French circus, but now they're finally able to be released into the wild, where they should have been this entire time. You can see the pure shock and disbelief on this possum's face when its kennel is opened. It literally can't believe it's about to live a free life. This grizzly was so confused after it was released that it turned straight to anger and aggression. Let's just be glad nobody was around in the area. This poor hippo was saved from poachers and was brought to a wildlife sanctuary. He was finally able to enjoy the freedom of the animal kingdom once again. This leopard was cut badly due to a sharp fence and was brought to the vet for surgery. It was able to quickly recover and dashes back into the wild. This fox clearly is a little cranky. I mean, I would be too, stuck in a cage all day. But with a big gulp of freedom, its sanity can finally be restored. This 660-pound crocodile was terrorizing a village and was responsible for many people's lives. The villagers were going to put the crocodile down, but instead captured it, tied it up, and took it far, far away from people, where it could live a happy life. This ocelot was finally released back into the Amazon after undergoing surgery. Just look at its eyes and excitement that it finally has the opportunity to jump back into the Amazon rainforest. It's so ecstatic that it almost jumps right into the camera. When 14 penguins were found malnourished and dehydrated, the Mundo Marino Foundation couldn't just sit back. They nursed them back to health for several weeks before releasing them back into their habitat. This massive Amur tiger's recovery is over, and it's time for her to be reunited with the wilderness. Finally, it's able to enjoy a life of true freedom. A man was able to help a badger get back into the wild, but this badger was a little angrier than anticipated. After a quick stare down with the man, it scurries off. These 4 bears spent their entire lives performing in a zoo in Pennsylvania.
After the facility closed in 1995, the bears were living in pens without the ability to roam out of their cages.
After 20 years of being confined to a cage, they were finally rescued and driven 24 hours across the country to Colorado to be released. The bears were finally able to feel grass for the very first time. Found helplessly on the ground with a broken wing, this bird wouldn't have made it alive if it weren't for these nice people. Today, the bird is released and freedom is finally restored. After this monkey lost its habitat, the wildlife department took it in and gave it plenty of water, food, and shelter. As soon as the monkey is released, it instantly jumps for joy for the trees. Releasing over 100 bison back into the Alaskan wilderness isn't on the list of world's easiest jobs. But it sure could be on the list for the world's most rewarding jobs. And we saved one of the most interesting clips for last. This male orangutan goes absolutely savage mode on its cage, even flipping the cage of another orangutan still inside. Sometimes animals go crazy after being cooped up for so long, and I really don't blame them. One of the men is able to distract the primate, while the other workers are finally able to get the orangutan out of its cage.